All right, Jason Rona back here at the NCTS finals. We're here in Waite Park, Minnesota. We're here with Joona Haatanen, all the way from Finland, as everybody likes to say. First, thanks for coming, and talk to us about this flight over, coming over here and competing. And I mean, you land and you're right on the track on Friday for practice, right?
Yeah. I came here on a Thursday evening, slept, and then came to the track in the morning. It was pretty tough because of the time change. It's almost 8 hours. So first I had a long flight, almost 10 hours, and then the jet lag. So it's pretty hard, but nice to be here.
Yeah, I think in general, when you got going in practice and you could see as the day kind of went on, it was like, okay, I'm ready to, kind of get some sleep and kind of do a reset. But you still seated pretty well. And then today you got out there, and then your very first qualifier, it was a great run in four-wheel drive. And two-wheel drive, you're running well, just one mistake away from maybe a TQ run, right?
Yeah. I mean, yesterday evening at the seating, I had good run in four wheel, but like too many mistakes in two wheel, and it was only 3 minutes. So I seated in B heat, but it doesn't matter. Like everyone is giving me room in the B heat, so I think it doesn't matter. And then like today in the qualifying, I got TQ in four wheel and just one mistake in the two wheel in both the fronts. So without that, at least top two, I believe.
Yeah, I mean you're running really well, and I mean it's a lot of work goes into running well at these races. But maybe what some people don't really know about when you're practicing back at home, you're practicing on a concrete track with wood jumps. I think do they have carpet on them?
Usually not. Usually no. So without only like wood.
Okay, so and a lot of people say, "Hey, I need to practice on a certain track to be fast, or I need to do this, or I need to do that." But you practically never race outside of your area on a track that you're familiar with. It's always something different, right?
Yeah. I practice on the floor and concrete, so I have never run on that surface out of Finland. So we don't have any carpet tracks. We have one Astro track indoor. So I think it matters to drive on the surface you will race, but for me, like I have the concrete, nothing else. So, well,
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think it would be like if the other racers had to come and race you on the concrete track? I mean, do you think they would? How would they compare that surface, and how does it feel to drive on that concrete surface compared to maybe like carpet, Astro, or even at the Worlds we had the dirt? It was people said it loose there at in Slovakia.
it's hard because we are putting like I don't know the word, but some kind of sauce on the track. So, like when you put and go after putting the sauce on the track, it's high grip. So, and then if you leave the track overnight and come back without doing nothing to the track, it lose, like even more loose than the Worlds. So it's hard to compare the track to like dirt or carpet.
So when you're, normally your schedule is, Reedy race, a lot of EOS type races, Euros. You've done some Nitro before, but compare your experience kind of growing up a little bit on running the EOS series events and what you've learned over time. You've got some good friends that run on the series, and kind of competing against. You have a lot of X-ray competition. You're holding it down for Team Associated and J Concepts and your sponsors. But what's it like running the EOS, and then what have you learned racing that series?
At the beginning, like when I made the main, I was just happy like making the main. It was for me like at the beginning, no mistakes, you can make the main. But now, like I have learned when I have the speed, if I make one mistake, I just need to go like till the end and see what happens. So, I mean, what I have learned, you need to drive like only 5 minutes, no fast laps, so you can be like on the top. I think that's the most what I've learned at the OS.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think over time? I mean, you've won one or two events, I believe.
Two.
Okay, so where were the two events that you won at, and what was it like winning those first events?
I need to cover me. Only one. So
Okay.
in Nürburgring,
Mhm.
I won. I started third in the main, and then I think I won the first leg, and then finished second in the last. So that gave me the win. When I went down from the rostrum, I didn't know I won. But then like my friends told me like you won, and then I was like, that was like, I can't even imagine how good it felt. Uh, I got up with some other guy at the start, so I was dead last, and then came up to second to win. That was I think pretty good for me.
And and then continuing on, obviously as you race through the EOS, but then we kind of ran that Worlds in Japan where we raced on AstroTurf, and that was a very interesting race coming in, and you had a great performance there. I believe you were the B final there, right?
Yeah,
what was it like racing in Japan in your first Worlds?
Well, that race was one of my first like international races, so I didn't know like nobody at the races, so it felt like same as everything like back home. I didn't like know the guys who I was racing with, so I knew it was good to be 13 at the worlds, but didn't like at these worlds in Slovakia. It was like much better for me. I knew like I met the main that's like super good for me. I didn't have that feeling when I met the B main at the worlds in Japan.
Yeah, you just drove, and where you ended up, and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
whoa, B final is pretty good at the Worlds, right?
Yeah, that was the feeling.
And then, moving towards this year in Slovakia, you started off, you were the top seed, which, it's an amazing accomplishment. I mean, you take all the best drivers in the world, you run a two complete rounds, and it's the guy that has the best 3 laps consecutively, which was you. And, you don't get an award for it, but it's still, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. At the practice, I at least saw like I have the speed to be on top. So then after this, like seating, I thought like I was punching so hard to make the like 3 laps, so I was fast. But then when I needed to drive 5 minutes, it was like completely different stuff. So car didn't feel as good. I was driving too smooth. So, well, like you said, it doesn't matter are you like top seed, but it's always nice to show people that you have the speed.
Yeah, it's just it shows you that you got the talent, the speed to be up top. I mean, we go to all these races, and it's people from out of nowhere don't just top seed. You have to be a legit fast racer, especially at the Worlds. Then we got into qualifying. Like you said, we ran several rounds, and obviously it took you a few to get in the main all the way down to the last round, but you made it in there, and then you really made some noise in the final itself, and really moved up on the grid.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I had points as counting. I finished second, and then 11 or 13 made the top 10. I was starting 10th on the grid. And then like I saw in the mains, I think in the first one I finished 4th. That was like super good for me from 10th place. But then like A2 and A3, I saw no one was making mistakes, so it was hard to get like up on the grid. And then at least I had good race in the last main, so I was having fun, a lot of fun. So I think I finished 6th overall. That was good for me. Like comparing that, like no one was making mistakes, and it was hard to pass on that track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a really big track, 5 minutes. Obviously, the best drivers in the world, you can only do so much. And moving up that high was obviously still a good accomplishment.
Yeah. I was happy like how I drove at the mains. We made a little like setup change on the car, bit speedo settings, so car felt much better, easy to drive. I can just punch the car. So I was happy like how I finished overall, and I was happy with the car at the end.
So, coming back to this race, we're in the last round of qualifying. You have a shot at TQing 4-wheel. You could probably, 2 wheels a little open in terms of second and third. You can get in there also. But talk to us about how you have the B6.1 equipped here. Something that's different is normally you run a Schumacher controlled tire on the EOS. Here we run the J Concepts tire. To me, it kind of felt like it took you a little while to kind of get used to some changes running on carpet, different tracks. But now, as you're starting to you kind of ease into getting accustomed to this race, how is it performing?
So yeah, I think it's almost 1 year when I drove carpet last time. So it took a while to get on the groove again. But like for now, it's going pretty good. The car is, like you said, B6.1 with different tires we usually run, and then like I think the setup is like similar to EOS. It doesn't matter like which carpet. I think the only difference is like I have sway bars and the different tires.
Okay, and in terms of here we're doing some technical inspection. Obviously, you have to mount them, bring them up to tech. You mark them, and it's performed a little differently everywhere. It really comes down to how many people that you have working the event and the series to make sure that you can do the best tech possible. Obviously, the world's is the best tech there probably is, but at a race like this, I mean, it's nice you get them mounted and you bring them up to tech, and what's it like to get ready for a qualifier and then get it on the track here for you?
I think it's pretty easy. Like you didn't need to do anything with the tires. You just glue them and then go to tech and mark them, and then go to the track. So it's pretty easy. Of course, I can say it easier at EOS because they're already marked. You don't need to glue the tires, but like it's not a problem for me. It's easy to glue the tires. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's another point is typically when you're at a race with your dad, he's doing a lot of wrenching, and then you're out, and lots of times you can kind of go out and see how everybody else is doing, check on your buddies and stuff. But here you have to stay a little more focused in on your cars. We did a video earlier. You did some diff rebuilding, but you're a lot better with the cars and the equipment than I actually thought that you were. I didn't know that you wrenched that much, but I think you're doing a good job with your stuff. What's it like to kind of take care of all your own equipment?
well, every time when I go to race, I rebuild my own cars, and then like my dad just comes to the race to rebuild my car at the race, and he's the brain like for the setup. I don't know anything of the car, so my dad is doing all that stuff. It's like now I have my phone. I'm always messaging my dad like what to do. So of course I know what to do, and like now he's sleeping. So I just like at least I know how to rebuild the car.
Yeah.
And like all the simple stuff. If I need something steering less, I know what to do with the car.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're doing a really good job keeping the cars ready and out there, and that's a big thing when somebody's not used to wrenching two cars at a high level or pro level, and getting out there and then racing with good drivers like Cavallari and Brock and Cole Tollard and these guys. You don't really necessarily have a chance to race with all the time, right?
Yeah. Like you said, like Reedy race and now this. I usually come like two times a year back to USA to race, so it's nice to race with them. Like I don't usually race, so it's nice to come here.
So to kind of wind things up just a little bit, what's your kind of goals going forward in RC? What would you like to see out of yourself, and what are you hoping to accomplish kind of going forward? I mean, you've already accomplished a lot. The EOS, Reedy race, open class. You did the A main at the Worlds. What's the next step, and what are you looking forward to doing next in RC?
Well, I have still school, 3 years, but I try to focus like 100% for RC. I still need the big win, like Euros or Worlds, and of course need more wins at the US, so I can prove like I am fast and I can like be at the top. So like now I have only one good win at like a EOS last couple of years, so maybe next year Euros, who knows.
Do you know where the locations are going to be for those events yet for the Euros?
Euros are in UK.
Okay.
Robin Hood Raceway.
Okay, it's on the Astro.
Yeah.
Because before when you went there, it was on dirt, right?
Yeah, they don't have the dirt track anymore.
Okay, so that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Outdoor track in the UK, so it should be pretty wide open.
Oh yeah. And I'm hoping like good car because Neil is from there, and he told me like the cars are very good. So I'm hoping good.
Okay, well, if you want to give a shout out to your sponsors, maybe some people watching at home, and and we'll wrap this up and let you hit the third round of qualifying.
I want to thank all my sponsors, family, friends, people who got to me here, like the race here, and like all people, all the fans, and everyone out there.
All right, Joona. Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck on the track. And yeah, we hope you tear it up. And I think this could be a good year for you, 2020, and get that breakthrough Euros, or maybe even the Reedy race.
Yeah, let's hope for the best.
All right.